It's about adjusting the table to the correct height. People often do it wrong. They have pain, don't know why, and don't know how to help themselves. In this video, I'll explain exactly what the correct table height should be so negative effects do not occur. Let's start in a seated working position and look at Ina. The table is very low. Her back is rounded. The angle of her hips seems even smaller than it already is when she is sitting, and her back is rounded, and she compensates by hyperextending her neck. This leads to back problems, it leads to hip problems, and it leads to neck problems, to headaches. All these stories are practically programmed in. You see, in this desk chair, Ina can sit much better. Her back is completely straight, her shoulders are relaxed, her head is a bit tilted, which is good for her neck. That's an optimal position, and of course, you always have an advantage if the table is adjustable because the chairs are standard heights. Still, they are always a bit different, and to be able to adjust it best to you, it's good if you can adjust it. As you can easily see, it already looks funny, and now the table is too high. This mistake is rarely made. As shown earlier, it is much more common for the table to be too low and for people to lean over it too much. You see, now Ina is standing. There are more and more standing desks nowadays, which is a good idea. But how do you set it up now while standing? Here in the position, we have the same problem as before, much lower when sitting. Ina's back is rounded, her head is not in a not-so-comfortable situation because she has to bend down the tabletop to get to it. That's too low, would lead to problems. You see now, much higher with the table. Ina is standing there quite relaxed, her back is straight, her arms are up, her head is in a good position. That would be the setting for standing work. You see, it's always about how the upper arms are and how the arms can rest. That's about the measurement for it, so the lower edge of the elbow, that would be the practical setting. These height settings that we have now discussed refer to computer work and actually also apply to the kitchen counter. You have something here, and you want to cut, right? You want to peel something. You want to handle something. Most kitchen counters are much lower than what we have set here now, and that should actually be different because the moment you have to work leaning forward all the time, we have the same effects as typing. It's going to have a negative effect. But then there are other occupations than working at the keyboard or doing light work. There are jobs like masseurs, manual therapists, other manual professions that have to exert force downwards. And if this force has to be built up via the muscles, via the arm shoulder muscles, via the anterior torso muscles, and via the hip flexor muscles, then this leads to shortening in the anterior region due to the constant tensing. This results in shoulder problems, back problems, hip joint problems. We have to proceed differently. And now perhaps members of these professional groups will be a little irritated. What I'm going to show now, let's change places, please, Ina. Imagine a patient lying there, and I am now the masseur. Many masseurs and manual therapists put the bench so high that they can work on the patient in this way, whereby it is precisely this that builds up the pressure via the muscles, leading to back problems. Many of these professional groups have back problems, which is the explanation for it. Tip from me, put the patient lower, because if you have to exert pressure now, then we don't have to do it via the muscle chains, but with the force available to us for free. Gravity, yes? Look at my position. I position myself so that I don't have to increase the downward pressure through muscle tension, but only I stabilize myself a little and have a little give at the front. I press down harder and can work without using any force. Of course, I pay just as much attention to the positioning of my body, yes, that I'm not standing somewhere in such a way that I'm nicely aligned. But this is the working height when you have to build downward pressure, whether you are a masseur, a manual therapist, or in other manual professions where downward force plays a role. Watch another video to keep exercising. Relief is just a click away, and if you want to subscribe to the channel because you haven't done that yet, please do that here. Ciao, until the next video.